Hello everyone, welcome back to another Trying to Explain video. Since the Game of Fate series ended, I thought it would be interesting on how the game started its time travel journey and see if it has any improvements in storytelling or not. So let's begin. Chapter 1. We begin the story by introducing to our first love interest, Shuya, our junior slash lab assistant, as she calls you senior all the time in the subtitle, but let's be honest, it is more of a older guy, younger girl dynamic trope. Honestly, the first time I played the intro, it was kind of sudden as she suddenly disappeared, and later we found out that she died, and suddenly you are interviewed by the detective, which is the second love interest you meet, Suchi. My only question is, why did they show the first scene? Is the guy hallucinating or delusional that Shuya disappeared, or the fact that she died? Is it a coping mechanism? Was he walking alone in the park? But anyway, we found out that she died due to getting hit by a car on the way to the protagonist's house to celebrate his birthday. And so our protagonist eventually moved on to be in a relationship with another girl, but became an alcoholic because he can't move on from Shuya's death. So a rebound maybe? His new girlfriend, the third love interest, is named Linwei. She's mad at you for drinking a lot, but started drinking with you anyway, so what's the point of all that lecturing? If you pick the right option, eventually the protagonist moves on from Shuya, and honestly, I think this is the best ending because he gets to move on and no time traveling is involved, of which we know very little of the consequences. But if you pick the other option, it was revealed that they both met during their lowest time, and she is revealed that she was cheated on. And that's it, she left the apartment. He eventually opens the item that Shuya gave her after her death, and it just sits there for 5 years, collecting dust. Only to find out that this cell phone worked. He was able to communicate with the past, and we could tell her, or Shuya, that to just stay at home and not go out during the ring. He then wakes up the next day to see that something is off, and when he opened the door, surprise! Shuya is alive, to the shock of many people. The protagonist opens up at how it's been a horrible 5 years due to her death. Then for some reason the protagonist's first move is to tell her that she should meet his other girlfriend from the other timeline, and she's just okay with this, only to discover that she never meets Linwei in this timeline. You know, what would a reasonable person do? You could A. hang out with the person that you are hung up on for 5 years, or B. look for your other girlfriend. What would a logical person do in this situation? Well, you could do either. And he tells his past self to expect more phone calls to save people from their death. And only a day later, Linwei was killed by the Rain Man. Somehow he just walks into their house. Did she give him a key? How could he just waltz in like that? But anyway, that's the end of chapter 1. Chapter 2 immediately started continuing the previous ending, only to be interrogated by the detective again. And now he is the main suspect, as if you don't go looking for her in the previous scene, she will call you out on this. But for some reason, you are not arrested immediately for being the main suspect. And he is not helping his case by going to the murder scene at the same time as the detective. At first, he was rejected for wanting to help, but his help was accepted the second time he asked. So I guess you can help police investigation if you ask hard enough, I guess. So you can help the police investigation, and you retrace the victim's steps that led to a store with an annoying clerk that refuses to cooperate until the police cart was laid out. For some reason, they hung out until night and they went their separate ways. He went home to Shuya discussing whether to save Linwei or not, and if he chose not to, you get another early good ending, but obviously we do. So he called his past self. His past self, while looking for Linwei in a bridge, came across a person who was trying to unalive himself by jumping off the bridge. He went up to jump and save him. My only question is, where is the ambulance? Where are the police? In this case, why is there only a reporter giving a CPR? Then the guy just went his merry way, as if nothing happened. Then a pygmy boy appears to regain Linwei's trust. So this is the guy that Linwei was talking about in the past. You could step in to save her, or you can let her deal with it. But in the end, it escalates. You guys both fought and dropped to the water. He was invited to her place as a thank you, then you can go on a date with her. Only for the pygmy boy to appear again. She outplayed him and made him sing in the karaoke stage, leaving and humiliating him. killing two birds with one stone. There are two ways you can save her. One, where you kind of forgot to do it and she was never safe. Either path will result in the protagonist being questioned by Suchi, but she doesn't recognize him again due to the time travel. In the end, if you don't tell the truth, she will arrest you on the spot for being suspicious. If you tell the truth about your knowledge about Lin Wei's death and the time travel, is the end of chapter 2. Chapter 3 starts off with Suchi inviting the protagonist to find Duyu and engage in the investigation. She definitely has broken a lot of law so far at this point. If you didn't save Linwei, Duyu will unalive himself when we arrive. If she was saved, he still plans it, just that he managed to catch him right before the ball. Duyu managed to chokehold Suchi as she's distracted. I'm starting to think that she's not really a good police officer, and for some reason she looks like in a coma in the hospital, even though she was only briefly chokehold. But if Duyu is not alive, you can go on a date with her. In the next scene, you immediately go on a date with Shuya and Linwei by going on a picnic. So I guess whatever happened just now, screw that, I guess, right? Who cares about that guy? So at night, you got a call from your future self to the past to help investigate the murders. They gave hint that Duyu was the one helping forge car number plates. You can ask Linwei or Suchi for help, but anyway, here's the satisfying scene.
你怎么还推人？
杜宇，你还敢袭警？本来林薇跟你分手，我就已经很不爽了。
He will show you pictures of the cars that he worked on. If you have been paying attention at all, it's the white SUV. They track down the car using CCTVs around the city, and future self gives a clue on what the first victim looked like to rescue her. So you tell the victim to a restaurant and we have to pretend that we are a guest. Then Suya appears, jealous that she thinks that the protagonist and Suchi are on a date, and started drinking. You can prevent yourself from being drunk by picking the sensible option. If you pick the alcoholic beverage from the start, Suchi will get caught for drunk driving and we will get a different ending. So if you didn't do any of that, you managed to save the first victim when Changman was still in residency. Then in 2024, Suchi talks to you again about how the first victim survived this time. And we need to interrogate her even though she's still in a coma. And what the hell you been doing for the past 5 years? If she's still in a coma for 5 years, then it kind of questions her recoverability, don't you think? And don't you think the murderer will try to attack again within weeks or within months? Why does everything have to happen in 5 years? But anyway, that's the end of chapter 3. Chapter 4. This chapter starts off immediately at the hospital to interrogate the victim, but sadly she is still unconscious after 5 years. I feel like that's a lost cause already. After talking to Changman of the victim's condition, the protagonists walk past a mysterious man in the back. Once they reach the parking lot, they got a phone call from Changman saying that the person is dead. And for some reason, everyone immediately knows that it is the person with a lab coat and a black medical mask. Still, why is everything happening 5 years later? Why? Did he fail to track down the victim even though she's in a coma in the hospital for like 5 years? Why does everything needs to happen in 5 years? Anyway, you failed to track him down. This leads to different routes. One being you fully invest your time to Changman, go on a date, and even discuss the investigation, which I'm pretty sure is illegal, and for some reason she has an explanation for all the clues. On our way out, her dad arrived home and turns out he is the Rain Man. Is it really a spoiler? No, he's the only other guy that is a main cast out of like what, 5 girls? And the other guy is a dumbass like Duyu. He insisted on sending you home in a very suspicious way, and you are right. You are drugged and trapped inside his lab with toxic gas to kill you. Look at that, his first male victim. For this path, if you tell Changman the truth, she will call your past self to make an identical key and hide it somewhere in the lab. The other path is you tailing the Rain Man from morning with Suchi till he leads you to the lab. But of course, you both end up getting trapped with the toxic gas because it took you too long to investigate the place. But in the end, you think this is game over. And chapter 5 starts with a very nonchalant as their past selves are living their best lives. So they get a phone call from Changman to tell him that he needs to clone a key basically and hide it inside the lab for you to find in 5 years. There are 3 paths that are slightly different from one another, but the gist of it, they replicated the key and hide it before he manages to come back. Then we see a scene of the protagonist escaping to safety, getting contacted by Chang to meet her alone. If you did not follow her words, she will try to unalive herself. If you do it, they both will try to stop her father. Or if you have high favorability but you call the cops, she'll only give you a letter saying that she's the one that will save you by calling the past self. And that's the end of chapter 5. Honestly, it's quite short. It's very straightforward. Chapter 6 starts with two different routes. One with the others, one with Changman. But the game asks you again whether you are satisfied with this ending. And if you want to just stop here as you have stopped the killer, or you want to go back to the past and save everyone. This is where the game went full Steins Gate mode and makes you save everyone by stopping the Rain Man from the very first victim. The only difference being who you do it with. If you went with Chiang Man's route, it will be revealed that her father is cuckoo nuts for brains as her wife left him. I mean, I kinda see why, not gonna lie, and that's the reason why he jumped off the bridge. So essentially the ending is that you either sacrifice yourself by going to his car and get saved by one of the girls, with only Suchi being the exception that she is the one who needs saving, but that's essentially it. Chapter 7, depending on your relationship, you'll get a particular girl's ending. Suchi's, Linwei's, and Changman's endings just involve them living happily ever after. Shuya is quite unique as she proposed to you at her graduation to marry her. And then, if you succeeded in getting all the true endings, you'll get a sequel teaser that is about transporting you back to 1940s China, which is their sequel. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and as for the next video, I don't know yet.